Okay, let's talk about protecting the asset. And what I mean by this is really asking yourself the question, or I'm asking you the question, of what you are doing to ensure that the most valuable, the most important asset in your life, in your career, in the families that you hold together or support, in the loved ones that depend on you and the clients whose interests you protect and the firms that you serve or run or organization that you run, what you are doing to ensure that the most important asset, i.e. you, is being well taken care of, making sure that you are taking care of your own needs. Now, inspiration for this week's episode comes from the Black Council Forum. So on Friday, that's in 2 days' time, I'm going to deliver I'm delivering a couple of things. Number one, I'm delivering a workshop on showcasing your value. So excited about that. I've got all the workbooks printed. They arrived today. If you follow me on social media, you would have seen that I did a post about them, giving you a sneaky preview. It's very exciting. So if you're listening to this before the conference and you're a mid to senior level Black lawyer, then make sure you are in that room. Make sure you attend the mid to senior career track workshop, because I will be taking it. So I'm doing the workshop. The other thing that I'm doing at BCF is a keynote of sorts. I want to call it a kind of semi-keynote because it's going to be very interactive. I'm going to get lots of conversations going, but it's on the topic of self-care. And specifically self-care for leaders. Now, I know that you, my listeners, are at all different stages of your legal career. But here's the thing, the sooner that you understand the value and importance of your self-care, of protecting the asset, seeing yourself as an asset in your career and in your life, the sooner you understand the importance of that and develop the habits that are so essential to protect yourself, to support that, the better it's going to be for you, and the easier you will find it as you progress and go into bigger and bigger rooms, the easier you will find it to lead, and the more sustainable your leadership will be. Here's why this matters. The more senior you get, the more, of course, that is going to be demanded of you. The more senior you get, the less time you will have, and yet curiously, right, the more you will need to get done. The more senior you get, the more you will actually do the leading, and the fewer people you will have available or be able to follow. There just won't be as many people who are ahead of you, leading the way, showing you how it's done, being role models. Like, I know even at a junior level, you might struggle to find role models that look like you, but when you get senior, it's also a struggle to find role models, full stop, people who are ahead of you. So you've got fewer people to follow. The more that you lead, the more senior you get. Another interesting thing I've observed in my senior leaders that I work with is that the less time you will have for yourself, right? So obviously with the more that's required of you, demanded of you, the more people that want something from you, the more you need to get done, the more that's expected of you. The less time you have, and yet the more lonely it can feel. Think about that. You have less time to yourself because you're always with people, and yet it can feel so lonely, right? And what I've noticed about this and about self-care as a topic, specifically with leaders, but also actually at different stages of your career, having spoken to like those of you who are in, let's say you're at that graduate level, trainee level, more junior, I do hear more and more deliberate and intentional talk about self-care. You prioritize self-care, you protect your self-care. So this is perhaps less true of you at that very junior level, just from a, I want to say, generational standpoint. But mid to senior level lawyers, certainly senior lawyers, one of the things I'm hearing is, and I'm noticing is, you don't talk about it openly with your peers or with other leaders, not in a way that is supportive of you, right? I don't hear you supporting each other on this, around this conversation. I think part of that, and this has been suggested to me, is that deep down inside you think it's just you. It often looks like other people are coping much better or doing much better at this than you are. So often there can be the feeling that it's just you, and that can stop this being a topic that you bring up and discuss with your peers, except maybe those really close to you. The other thing that I've noticed is how little you ask for help with this. This is a big one. I don't hear people reaching out and asking for help with what feels like a very everyday subject, perhaps even a mundane one, but looking for help, asking for help with their self-care. And the reason for this, I am certain, particularly with those of you who are more senior, is the belief that you should be able to figure it out. That this is something you should be able to work out by yourself. It's not something that, like as a leader, you should be spending your time seeking help, like seeking help for, right? So I've noticed this, but here's the result that you're creating by not talking about it more openly and sharing ideas and by not asking for help. The result is self-care remains one of the easiest things to neglect. It's one of the most important things, right, for your success and sustainability as a leader, and yet it is one of the easiest things to neglect. And if it's one of the easiest things to neglect, what that means is that neglect ends up making your job as a leader harder. Leadership is hard when you're not taking care of yourself. Leadership is hard when you spend most of your time feeling depleted or exhausted, running on empty, when you know you have certain health risks or health issues that you're not tending to. All of this is there. It's there in the back of your mind. It's there in your body. It reflects how your body supports you or doesn't support you, how much energy and vitality it gives you, right, or isn't able to give you in support of your role as a leader. So this matters. Your self-care matters. Your willingness to prioritize it matters, and your decision and recognition that you are an asset and your commitment to protecting yourself, this matters hugely. Here's what I want to offer. It's not that you can't do it, right, without this self-care, without protecting the asset. I know so many of you have been leading very successfully, running on empty and feeling exhausted. Like, you are able to do it. So I'm not broaching this topic from the perspective of, oh, well, if you don't look after your self-care, then you won't be able to lead. I want to offer that you not taking care of yourself, you not protecting yourself and seeing yourself as an asset makes leading harder. And most importantly, it doesn't have to be that way. There is a better way, an easier way, and protecting the asset is how you make leadership easier. And so I'm going to tell you how to do it in this episode. So I want you to know you can do it. You can be a successful leader without protecting the asset to yourself, but you don't have to, right? So if you don't have to, let's find a way to lead, well, a better way to lead, let's call it that. So here's what I want to offer as a goal. I want to invite you to adopt this goal. This is what I want for you and what I want to help you to achieve. Instead of leading from, I'm making it work, I'm juggling all the things, I'm depleted, I'm exhausted, but I keep going, I haven't got any choice. Instead of leading from that, from depletion, I want to invite you to lead with a full cup. And I want that to be your goal. I want you to lead with a full cup that gives you the energy and the vitality for all the work that you need to do, for the people that you love, for the goals that you have for yourself, and for the projects or the things that you care deeply about. This is my goal for you, that you have enough energy and vitality for all of that. And all of this, as I've said, not only is going to give you a better experience of being a leader, but it's going to make you a better leader, a better parent, a better partner, a better friend, a better sister, brother, mentor, role model, sponsor, all of the different hats, different roles that you have. You're going to be able to perform them so much better when you have this full cup, when you have the energy and vitality to show up to leadership, right, from this full cup. All right, so here's what I want to offer as being the solution, right? The answer to this problem. But really I want to offer you as it being the key to you being able to lead with energy and vitality is that you treat yourself as an asset and you protect that asset ferociously, right? So you've got to recognize how important your physical and mental health is to the success of you as a leader, to your success as a leader. And then not just to recognize how important your physical and mental health is, but also to commit to taking ferociously good care of it. I use that word ferociously deliberately. It's a word I adopted when I was doing this work for myself and really changing the way that I think about myself and my role and what I ask of myself. And I made this pact. I don't know how long ago it was now. It's been quite some time. This is now ingrained in me. But I made this pact to myself that if I was going to take on all of these things, if I was going to be the best parent I can be to my 4 boys, be the best wife I can be to my husband Paul, be the best coach I can be to every one of my clients, be the best coach, give the most value to every one of you who aren't yet my clients, right? If I can be the best keynote speaker, be all of these things that I want to be an example of what is possible. I can want all of those things and I'm allowed to go for all of those things, but the deal is I take ferociously good care of myself. And it's ferocious because I guard that self-care ferociously, as if I'm like a tiger with little cubs. Like I guard it with everything. It's ferocious, it's unrelenting, it's uncompromising. So this is what I want for you. I want you to protect the asset being you, which means recognizing how important your physical and mental health is to your success as a leader. And it means committing to taking ferociously good care of that physical and mental health. All right, so let me talk you through the process that I want to invite you to follow in order to achieve that, in order to protect the wonderful asset that is you. So the process I recommend is to use a self-care protocol. Okay, this is something I teach my clients inside Be the First, the self-care protocol. And there've been some of my clients who have taken this on board, adopted it, worked with it, and over time, like built it and not refined it, that's not the right word, but evolved it, right, as they become more and more, as the idea of protecting the asset has become more ingrained in them and in who they are and what they understand to be important, seeing how they've developed it and how their willingness to commit to it, to follow this self-care protocol, has interestingly matched their career progression. This is something I want you to think about. This is also about giving yourself what you need in order to show up, right, in the best possible way. And that showing up in that way is what enables you to succeed. One of the reasons why I think so little time is given to self-care, or it is such a low priority for so many of you, is because you haven't made that connection between taking care of yourself and the success that you can create in your career. You think the self-care, those acts of self-care, and we'll talk about what those acts are in a moment, in your mind, so often you think about that taking up time, taking away time from the work and the things you need to do to progress your career, for example. And what I want to offer, and what I have seen proved again and again and again, I have proven in my own life, and I'm seeing it played out in my clients' lives every single day, is the better they are at their self-care, the faster they progress, the further they go, right? So it's counterintuitive. You taking time out to look after yourself actually helps you show up better, helps you perform better. It will help you go further and progress faster. Okay, so make sure that, in fact, I just want to say, catch yourself, catch your brain when it wants to tell you that this is taking you away from, quote unquote, what's important in your career. No, the opposite is true. This is supporting you in your career. All right, so back to this process then, and the self-care protocol. What is it? So the self-care protocol is quite simply how have I described it? A system of rules that you've created, right, that define and establish your commitment to protecting yourself as the asset. Let me repeat that. A system of rules that define and establish your commitment to protecting yourself as the asset. Here's why this works. It takes the guesswork and the uncertainty out of self-care. When you've got a set of rules, you've got a system, you know exactly what you will do and when. The second thing it does, and the reason why it works, is it meets you where you are. So we're not going out from having never exercised and saying, right, I'm going to run 20 kilometers at the weekend. We're not setting impossible goals here, right? What we're doing is looking at where you are and establishing this system, this set of rules that you can commit to. And what this does is it makes it easier for you to start right now, literally today, after listening to this episode. It makes it easier for you to start and to sustain. And that's really important. That's key. Okay. We don't want to just go off and try and do too many things, or try and get from 0 to 60 in 3 days in terms of ramping up your self-care, and then it all feel unsustainable and too much and overwhelming. We don't want that. The self-care protocol, because of how we build it, how we create it, how you put together that system of rules, what it does is it makes it easier for you to start and keep whatever you commit to going. And then the third reason why this works is because there's something about it being a protocol. For me, I love this word for this work because it creates this commitment, right? There's a set of rules, but for me, it's like a commitment without the pressure, without the judgment. So you are absolutely committing to a set of rules. However, should there be a moment or a day when you don't follow, or you miss that standard, you miss that rule, it requires compassion, not judgment. It's a protocol, it's guidelines, it's a set of rules you are committing to follow. It is not an all or nothing. If you don't do this, then you failed, right? There is no failure with a protocol. It is a guideline. I want you to see it as your shining light, okay? Your North Star. That's a much better way of thinking about it. And that means that if you go off track at any point, or you miss anything, you can always find your way back. You've got the self-care protocol. You can always find your way back. I love that so much. Okay, so let's talk about how you create it. I'm going to offer you 3 steps. As you know, I like to keep these steps as concise and succinct as possible so that this is easy for you to implement. You can literally get started and you follow what I'm about to teach you. So the first step then is to raise your self-concept. You hear me talk a lot about self-concept on this podcast or in this video series. And it's quite simply the way you think about yourself. And because what I teach is that it's really important who you are before you go out and take action. So how you think about yourself and what you're thinking, your mindset is the thing we want to tackle first and get that mindset right before you then go out and do the action. And you'll find this threading through all of the things I teach you and all of the work I do, and especially inside Be the First, where you learn the Be the First mindset, right? You learn I'm the first. I'm not the only one. I'm the first. That mindset, right? That way of thinking about yourself, that self-concept as a black lawyer in a white world is absolutely fundamental and key, and it's what we nail first. It's the first thing we talk about and discuss, and it threads through every bit of work that we do together. So in this context, include talking about work that we do together. Self-care is something we will cover when you join Be the First. In this concept, in this context, it's quite late here now on a Wednesday evening, so bear with me if I'm getting my words muddled up. So in this context and in this process, the 3 steps I'm teaching you, the step number 1 is to raise your self-concept as the asset, right? You have to be thinking about yourself as an asset, as someone who is worth protecting, worth taking care of, worth investing the time and energy in, and money in if it's something you then decide to pay for example, a bit of a gym membership, for example. You have to think of yourself as someone who is important enough and worthy of that. Yeah. So here's what I want to offer by way of example of a really high the self-concept I want you to have as a leader who takes care of themselves. These are the thoughts I have about myself, and I want to share them with you, invite you to borrow them, try them on, right? And use them, right, to develop your own self-concept, your own way of thinking about yourself. So I've just going to share 3 of them with you. I am the asset. I literally think that about myself on purpose. I remind myself I am the asset. The second one I've already shared with you. I take ferociously good care of myself. These are thoughts I deliberately think about, tell myself, repeat to myself, come back to. When I'm feeling depleted, when I'm feeling torn on a Monday afternoon, and I've got my personal trainer booked in for 3:30 in the afternoon, it's like literally the worst timing. I'm always in the middle of something. I've always got so much to do. It's the beginning of the week. It's always like, I do not have time to go out and work in the park, go and work out in the park with my personal trainer on a Monday afternoon. I just never do. And yet I come back to the fact that I am the asset. I take ferociously good care of myself. And I know that having a PT and training with her is one of the ways in which I demonstrate and one of the ways in which I take that care of myself. Like me reminding myself and having the self-concept that I am the asset, I take care of myself, is what gets me to walk out the door and go and train in the park, even when I'm so busy. It's what allows me to put the urgent and the essential and the important aside for one moment and prioritize my self-care. So the self-concept I have is so important, and yours is going to be so important too. So I invite you to adopt that one as well. And then the third one I want to offer is, the better I am at taking care of myself, the greater my capacity to lead. Yeah. So the better my ability to take care of myself, the greater my capacity to lead, to show up for you, for my audience, for my clients, for my people, for my family, for my husband, for my dog who needs walking every single morning and like literally tries not to leave my side at the moment. But the more I can fill my own cup, right, the more I have to give. So the first thing I want you to do is just choose, decide, try on, explore some of these very powerful thoughts that you get to think on purpose and which will elevate your self-concept. To really raise the way you think about yourself as the asset in your life and in your career and in your world. Step number 2, choose the pillars that you are going to focus your self-care or build your self-care protocol around. Now, this is really quite fluid. There are so many different aspects to self-care that you could pick so many different ones. So what I want to do in order to make this, I want to avoid it being something that feels not confusing, but so much as feels like there's a lot of choice to be made, right? So you'll fall into one of two camps. Either you'll be really clear about what you want your kind of core pillars of your self-care protocol to be. In other words, what you want to prioritize for your self-care. You may already know that. Or you're coming at this quite fresh, you don't know what they should be, in which case I want to make the following recommendations. Your self-care protocol should include, in my view, I would recommend that it include a protocol for your sleep, in other words, a set of rules for your sleep, a protocol for your diet and nutrition, a protocol for exercise, a protocol for downtime, and a protocol for having fun. Right? Those would be my recommendations, that you would aim to include as many of those 5 as you possibly can. That's how I built my self-care protocol. And what I want to offer as well is you can build this out. I would almost prefer, in fact, I would prefer that you choose 1 or 2 of those things and you develop the self-care protocol, build it around those, even 2 of those things. You go out, you practice, right? You implement what I'm teaching you. And then as you get more used to it, then you can add other pillars. So if you are completely new to self-care, that's what I recommend you do, rather than overwhelming yourself with lots of different rules in lots of different areas of your self-care. So sleep, diet, or nutrition, however you want to think about it. I often include hydration in that, by the way. Exercise, downtime, in other words, switching off, and then fun. That's the second stage. You just choose your pillars. And then the third stage, super simple, you just create the protocol. i.e. you establish your rules for each of those pillars, each of those categories. Now, a few words of, let's call them advice. I was going to say words of warning, but they're not words of warning, but a few guidelines. Number 1, please start with where you are. Remember I said this is the beauty of the self-care protocol. We're not just picking a ridiculously ambitious goal that is going to feel overwhelming and you're never even going to attempt to achieve it. You're going to be like, that's impossible. I have a full-time job. I work all the hours. I'm exhausted. I've got children, or I've got commitments. I've got family that need me, right? So what I don't want you to do is set an overly ambitious goal. Start with where you are and look to set a goal that is within reach of that. Number 2, my second guideline is be aspirational. Okay, you will be inspirational if you're someone who takes care of yourself, right? If you protect the asset, you will inspire other people, by the way, just as an aside. Just to develop that little slip of the tongue, I think it is also interesting to think of what an inspiration you can be by doing this work, by investing in yourself, by protecting yourself as the asset. But my guideline is to be aspirational. So I also want you to push yourself a little bit. I don't want you to rest on your laurels or where you are. I don't want you to underestimate what you're capable of and let all of the reasons why you think it's not possible and the excuses you've been giving yourself or telling other people as to why you can't fit in exercise, or you can't get any more sleep, or you don't have time for fun, or you don't have time to have a really healthy diet. I don't want you to let all of those excuses, stories you've been telling yourself so far, be what determine your self-care protocol. So be aspirational. Think about like what gets me firing on all cylinders? Like, what would it take? How much would I need to be exercising? Let's say you're exercising once every couple of weeks. Like, push that and think, if I was like, what would it take? What if I exercised once every week rather than once every 2 weeks? Like, could I do that? So really challenge yourself to be aspirational and imagine, like, if you were able to do a bit more, how much more effective it would enable you to be. Like, how it would, I keep coming back to this idea of firing on all cylinders. That's how I like to think about it. I want my self-care protocol to be something that I know if I follow it, I'm going to be firing on all cylinders. I'm going to be showing up at my best. So think about that, be aspirational. And then my third guideline is that it's not set in stone. As I hinted earlier, this is something that you can start with and then you adapt and then you can refine it over time. As you test it, you can add things, you can take it away. So it's not rigid, okay? Don't let the thought that this is something concrete you're never going to be able to change be a reason, right, where you don't get down to doing this work, all right? So start where you are, but be aspirational and know that it's not set in stone. It's constantly evolving, I want to offer. Okay, so what I want to do now is, I think it would be helpful, is give you an example by sharing my self-care protocol with you. And here's what it is. I'm going to give you a really big overview. And I hope you will find this inspiring from an aspirational point of view, because there'll be some things in here, I am sure, as I was thinking about this and writing it out in my notes, there'll be some things in here where you'll be thinking, wow, there's absolutely no way I could do that. And I want to just challenge you on that. I want to just offer, like, what if you could? What if you did include some of these things on your, as part of your self-care protocol? What if you could invite the possibility? So here is mine as it has evolved and where it is now. Number 1, my rules for sleep. I get up early. Every single morning my alarm goes off at 5:25 a.m. There are exceptions to that, but this is my protocol. This is my rule. It's my system for my sleep. And the other part of my system is that I get 7 hours of sleep. Now, just to be clear, my alarm goes off at 5:25. To get 7 hours of sleep, I have to be obviously in bed around about 10 o'clock. So it is quite a big deal to have that set of rules for my sleep. I want to come back to that in a minute and on how successful I am at achieving that when we talk about what to expect as you implement your self-care protocol. But for now, I'll just keep going with what the protocol is. Protocol number 2 for my diet: no white flour, no processed sugar. Right, so I can eat fruit, etc., but no white flour, no processed sugar, and 2 litres of water a day. Number 3, exercise. Walk my dog every single day, and what I aim to do is, I aim for 10,000 steps a day. That's in my protocol. On a Monday, I train outside with my personal trainer, Holly, who I'm always mentioning. She's always torturing me. On a Wednesday, it's my weights day. On a Friday, I do yoga. On a Saturday, I go for a run, somewhere between 5 and 10k. And on a Sunday, I have a yoga session again. That's my exercise protocol. My downtime protocol. My downtime protocol is my early mornings. So those early mornings when I get up is I journal. I use the time to think. I have time to literally have a cup of tea before anybody wants anything of me. Like, that is my downtime. It's very important and I really protect it. I take a break for lunch. Doesn't mean I have an hour lunch break, but when I'm eating, I'm not working. Mondays and Fridays, I try and have TV time with Paul, like real chill time. Sometimes I'm out on a Friday, but the idea is twice a week I am like sofa with my husband, chilling out, watching some series or other, usually chosen by him. And then another part of my downtime that's currently in my self-care protocol is a jacuzzi session once a week, ideally mid-week. So trying to get myself to take the time to sit in a jacuzzi for 20 minutes. Now, I have a jacuzzi. I'm very spoiled lucky. So that has made it into my protocol, is to use it rather than it be something that we installed and we went to all this effort and work to put in and I don't ever use. And it is so relaxing. I can't do anything else when I'm in it. Can't be on my phone, or even listening to a podcast doesn't make sense and having my brain work. I have to switch off. So I've included this in my protocol. And then number 5, fun. Do you know what? This is an interesting one. What I realised doing this episode is how I haven't really paid as much attention to this part of my protocol as I need to. So I actually struggled a little bit to fill this, which is terrible. And I'm going to improve right now as soon as I finish with this podcast. But the things I do, and I make sure I do, and I include in my protocol right now, is reading, like reading fiction. I read a lot of non-fiction stuff for work, but reading fiction every day. It's literally the last thing I do at night. Even when I'm really tired, I always, at least one page. That is part of my protocol. And going to a gallery once a month, some sort of art gallery or museum, and then monthly dinner with my husband, and then seeing friends, okay? The seeing friends bit is a lot more vague, because I realise I don't actually have a protocol for that. In other words, a set of rules I have for that, like a number of times a month that I want to make sure I'm spending time with friends. So that is something I'm going to look at. That's something I'm going to change, because one of the things that's really important with this protocol, and why it's called a protocol, why it's a set of rules, is that it's a clear direction. It's a clear set of rules of what you will be doing and how often and when. Like, just as how precise my exercise protocol is, like literally which day I dedicate to which type of exercise. So the more specific you can be in your protocol, the better it will serve you and the easier it will be to follow. So make a note of that. Now, you've just heard my self-care protocol. What I would like to offer is that there are many times when I fall short of my protocol. So I want to just invite you, or not even invite you, just say and lay out for you straight away that there are certain things that will happen as you go out to do this work, as you go out to protect the asset. You'll be there, you've made your self-care protocol, and you're like, yes, I can see the value of it. I want to be a better leader. I want to show up more. I want vitality and I want energy so I can like be firing on all cylinders. And you'll set off, and here's what is almost certainly going to happen at some point, either all at the same time or one at a time. But this is what you will encounter, and I want you to know nothing has gone wrong. It's totally normal. Number 1, you won't want to. You might experience a lack of motivation or a lack of energy. You have no idea how many times on a Wednesday I do not feel like doing any weights. I just don't want to do it. I'm just too tired. I've got, too much going on. It's been too long of a day. It's been a hard day. The last thing I want to do is go and do some weights. And that's just one example. So there'll be times when you lack motivation, you won't want to do it. There will be times when something external comes up that will get in the way. Of course, something comes in and something blows up on a deal, or a very valued client comes in with a request, or, the things, right? So many things can get in the way of, in my example, this is a great example. It's a Wednesday night. It's 9:15. I have not had my jacuzzi time because work has got in the way, meaning that I had work that I needed to get done today, and this is part of it, right? So something external can get in the way. It could be personal as well, by the way. It doesn't have to be work related. That throws you off track. And honestly, a lot of my self-care protocol at the moment is being challenged by lots of things happening personally, just things going on in our family, where there's just we're doing a lot in the house, and the kids have got a lot going on with sport, and it's just been a very busy, active household right now, and so it is challenging my self-care protocol quite a lot. Number 3, what else I want you to expect and know could happen is you'll find it just too hard. So remember the bit about it being aspirational, right? It will be aspirational. There's times when you fall short of that. For example, if you decide you're going to go for a run every week, or you decide you're going to give up sugar or white flour, there will be times when you find it hard and you just fall short and you just quote unquote, I don't want to use the word fail because there's no failing with self-care protocol, but you fall short of your expectations, right, as laid out in this protocol. That will happen. I am telling you, it's going to happen. And the good thing about me warning about what to expect is there can be no judgment. You know it's going to happen, right? It's totally normal. And what it means is we don't need to descend in any drama about how you're not able to follow this protocol and you're not protecting the asset and it's just not going to work for you. We don't need any of that drama. All of these things are totally normal and everybody will experience it. I experience it, you will experience it. Everybody else listening to this who implements what I teach you, you will experience it. So nothing's gone wrong. No need to worry. I'm just letting you know what to expect because then I'm going to tell you exactly how to solve for it. The fourth thing to expect then out of those, the four things I'm listing is it will feel, this is an interesting one. There'll be times when you're doing your protocol and it'll feel like it's not enough and you'll get excited and you'll want to do more. That's quite an interesting one, isn't it? That's quite different to the reasons why you won't be able to meet that protocol, live up to that protocol. What if you actually are and there's more that you want to do and you want to start increasing it? This came up with a client recently where she wanted to add more and more things to her exercise protocol and it was brilliant, except that she kept falling. She'd be really ambitious and then she kept having a dramatic fall from it, right? So it was really up and down and it was really frustrating for her. I want to up my level, I want to up my protocol, but I keep missing the mark. So that could happen to you too in one of those areas. So here are the tools that I'm going to give you to solve for all of that. This is what I do inside Be The First. I teach you all of these tools, by the way, and we use them in so many different ways. These form part of your Be The First toolkit for navigating the challenges as being a black lawyer in a white world, for progressing your career, going all the way to the top. So I'm going to give you an introduction to these tools right now so you can see how what I teach you when you join Be The First is so powerful and so helpful for your self-care protocol, just as one example of a scenario in which you will use these tools that I teach you. So number one, I've hinted at this before, but the first one is who before how. So one of the things I recommend is if you lose connection to, you fall short of your self-care protocol, come back to your self-concept first. Rebuild it, reconnect with it. Remember those thoughts that I shared with you. Lean into those, practice thinking them, think them on purpose. I am an asset. I take ferociously good care of myself. The more I fill my cup, the more I have to give. The better leader I will be, the better parent, the better partner I will be. Come back to that self-concept. That's instantly going to wake up the version of you that is fulfilling your self-care protocol, is meeting that protocol every single day. So who before how, start with your self-concept. The second tool is establish a minimum baseline. I love this tool. I actually learned this from my coach years and years ago. The minimum baseline is, you can apply it in so many scenarios, but in this case, it's the level below which you will not go. So this is your non-negotiables. For me, by way of example, my non-negotiable every week is my Monday afternoon training. I will not negotiate that. And it helps that I pay quite a lot for that training session to ensure I don't, or it would be outrageous for me to negotiate that. That's my non-negotiable. And what's interesting is over time, I've managed to add at least one yoga session a week as my non-negotiable. Another non-negotiable is my getting up early in the morning. I always make sure I have at least an hour to myself before I need to be at my first appointment or my first commitment. And I probably should have clarified that in my protocol. The 5:25 a.m. alarm is more about having an hour before I need to start doing things in the day, before anything is needed of me. Right, so that for me is a minimum baseline. It's my non-negotiable. The jacuzzi isn't my minimum baseline. I aspire to it being my minimum baseline. One of these days I'll come back on the podcast and share that with you. I'll give you an update that I'm now at a level with my self-care where that is non-negotiable. I love that as an aspiration. So the minimum baseline is brilliant. Decide, it's like looking at your rules and deciding, okay, which of those rules do I want to embed and do, and which I know I can do no matter what. That's important. You want it to be the minimum that you know you can do. And the third thing I want you to do is celebrate the wins. Every time you follow your protocol, celebrate it. Talk about it. Congratulate yourself. Be proud of yourself. Right? It's very important that you recognize every time that you fulfill it, every time that you protect the asset as a win deserving of celebration. The reason for this is, first of all, it will reinforce your self-concept as someone who takes ferociously good care of themselves. Reinforces your self-concept as the asset that is worth protecting. It's going to reinforce that every time you celebrate. But crucially, it's also going to motivate you to keep going, to keep aspiring, to keep trying, to keep up this work. And then the fourth tool I want to share with you is the gold standard. So this is going to be really relevant to you if you're wanting to up level your self-care protocol. You've now got it working really well and you're like, yeah, but I can do more in one area. So I want to offer that you set a gold standard. What would be the gold standard of all of these pillars? What would be the ultimate? And I want to confess that actually for my sleep, for example, where I am aiming for 7 hours of sleep every night, this is my gold standard. And I've kind of added that in because I wanted to raise my sleep game. I was really quite not dangerously, but I was in danger of getting really used to having very, very little sleep. And I don't want to do that because I know that when I sleep better, I perform better, I lead better, right? So I wanted to catch that. And I really wanted to challenge myself to have more sleep. So the 7 hours sleep is what I've introduced as my gold standard. Here's the beauty of the gold standard. I don't have to hit my gold standard. It's what I'm aiming for. So if you imagine this, when I'm coaching on this inside the program, I usually draw this out on a flip chart. The gold standard is up high at the top. Your minimum baseline is at the bottom. And then in between those two is your self-care protocol. And what that creates is what I love to think about as a buffer zone in either direction. You can go higher if you want. You've got it clear on what your gold standard would be. So you're always being slightly aspirational with your self-care protocol. But then you've got that minimum baseline, your non-negotiables, the level below which you will not go because you will not tolerate not taking care of yourself. This is not something you will ever allow anymore, to neglect yourself, to allow yourself to be so thoroughly depleted and exhausted through not prioritizing your self-care, not considering it important enough. All right. So that is how, my friend, you create a self-care protocol. It's how you solve for all of the things that might get in the way or throw you off track. And you implement this. You do this for yourself. And my friend, you will protect yourself as the asset. And you will not only be healthier, both physically and mentally as a leader, right? You will be a better leader. And you will be all of those other roles that you perform, you will show up to those so much more powerfully. You will have so much more to give. And all of it is going to be so much more sustainable. So my parting message to you, to bring you back to what I said before, is that I know you can succeed and lead the way you are currently doing it right now. I know you can continue on feeling exhausted and depleted, feeling that you're being pulled in 20 different directions and it's just take, but you don't have to. And if you're willing to do this work, if you're willing to set up your own self-care protocol and follow it, your experience of being a leader, your experience of progressing is going to be so much better. It's going to be so much more effective, and you're going to be, do you know what, as well as being a better leader, you're actually going to be happier. And you are going to enjoy your job, enjoy leading, enjoy meeting the demands that are being required of you so much more because your cup is full, because you're taking care of yourself. All right? So look, let me know what you think about that. Let me know what pillars you're going to put into your self-care protocol. I'm really curious. I would love to hear. I would love you to share your self-care protocol with me or share it with your peers, with someone else. Be open in talking about this. Remember I said one of the challenges is not talking about it. I think having a self-care protocol makes it safe, or it is always safe to talk about your self-care, but I want to offer that it feels safe to talk about it when you have a self-care protocol, a set of rules that you're aspiring to live up to. I think it's a great topic for conversation and for connection. connection with those people you work with or the people you love and who are around you. It's really important. And it means that they can also support you and you support them in taking care of themselves too. All right, so if you are a mid to senior level Black lawyer, this work is crucial for you. The sooner you embed this habit, you learn this tool, the self-care protocol, the sooner you really embody the message, the meaning of what it is to be the asset and what a responsibility you have. How about that? A responsibility you have to take ferociously good care of yourself. The sooner you embrace that responsibility and take this work forward, the better it will be for you, the better you will feel, the more effective you will be, and the faster you will progress. So I want to invite you to join Be the First, right? Be the First, my career progression coaching program, which if you follow me already, you will know it's for mid to senior level Black lawyers. And inside Be the First, one of the things that we do is we make sure you are taking ferociously good care of yourself. As far as I'm concerned, if you're progressing to the next level and your mental and your physical health is deteriorating as a result, that is not progress. So we make sure that your progress is supported by a really robust self-care protocol so that you're always taking care of yourself and you can be the best leader and parent and wife and partner and or husband or peer, whatever roles you have, be the best of those that you can be and bring all the vitality and energy that you have available to your life and your career so you enjoy it so much more. Okay, my friends, I'm going to leave you. Let's get to it. Get your self-care protocol. Start building it now. It doesn't have to be perfect. Send it over to me. I'd love to have a look at it. I'll be happy to add any comments if you would like me to put my eyes on it. That's it from now. It is 9:25. I might still have time to jump into the jacuzzi. I may just make that a priority right now. I'm going to take care of myself, ferociously good care of myself. That's it from me. Bye for now. I'll be back next week. Thanks for listening.